this is just another mafia. And I learned what I could as a spy and learned all the things I wasn't supposed to learn. And then I couldn't believe they wanted to keep me on, either in the capacity I was in or with the CIA or NSA. And I refused. And they never really got over that. They were very upset that I wasn't going to stay forever like Porter Goss did. Goss did the same kind of work I did. And he evolved into the CIA, and that in his whole life was different than mine.
Well, one of you, two roads in a wood diverged, and Bob took the one less traveled by. So, I mean, thank God that you took the road of truth. I don't know that we can say the same thing about Porter Goss, who's probably wrapped up in the whole 9/11 story. Let me ask you this before we move on to some questions.
That's the theft of the gold. He was in on that.
Yeah. You
Just thought I'd mention it.
Below the World Trade Centers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He stole it all.
Yeah, there's so much, folks. For those of you that have not dug into the 9/11 story and taken a look at what really happened that day, there's so much information. Everything will make more sense to you if you can get your arms around what actually happened that day. We won't get into it here, but there's plenty of great information on the internet, and I would have you start with probably Scholars for 9/11 Truth and head down that path a little bit. Bob, before we get into questions from subscribers, let me ask you what you make of this Osama bin Laden has been killed nonsense. What do you make of this latest propaganda story?
Nonsense. There's been a number of revelations over the last 10 years about his death. He was a creature of the Central Intelligence Agency. He was an employee. Just like they control Al-Qaeda and Taliban from the very beginning until today. That's why they're fighting as rebels in Libya right now. And the guy that's running the program there lived in Virginia for 20 years prior to taking that job working for the CIA. So this whole thing is a scam. It's just like the certificate of live birth, another scam.
Yeah. But the scams now, Bob, I mean, everything, just real briefly, I was thinking about doing an article for my little website where I wanted to talk about what may well be the secret government coming out and announcing their coup to those who are awake. Because the sheeple are never going to get it. The people that can't see this will be blind forever, because these latest two things, Bob, are so obvious. This ridiculous long-form birth certificate, which the minute it was released was torn apart as being fraudulent, number one. Number two, this ridiculousness about going in with a SEAL team and killing Osama bin Laden, and then the pictures they release of him are clear fakes. That's not the result of bumbling. That's the result of deliberate information that they want to convey to those that are awake, that we're in charge, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
We are doing something about it. We're breathing down their necks heavily. And they are expediting their programs, and when you do that and you're forced to do that, you lose control. And that's what's going on. They should have never gone into the Middle East and done what they've done over the last couple of months. Stupid.
Yeah.
But they had their agenda. First of all, Libya is a good example. 29,000 Chinese working there. The Chinese had to pull them out. They're not getting any of their oil from there. They're very unhappy about it. But that was a deliberate confrontation. World War III has begun. The Chinese come back and said, oh, you want to do that? We're going to sell 2/3 of our dollars.
Right. I know.
The Russians haven't said anything yet, but in Syria, they have one of their biggest naval bases. I don't think they're very happy about that. I'm going to tell you something. If the U.S. or anybody else tries to take that naval base, they got a war on their hands. And the U.S. knows that. They're trying to start a war to cover up all the financial and economic shenanigans that they've pulled.
Yeah, well, I think they've really opened up their Achilles heel, too, on taking silver down this far, Bob. I mean, I just really,
dumb.
They're in a box. I can't see how this helps them.
Well, we'll know when the COT report comes out, if it's truthful, and I assume it is. I can't assume otherwise. And we'll find out what the net naked short position is.
I mean, don't you think they're covering right now? Don't you think J.P. Morgan has to cover?
We won't know. They're talking 33,000 contracts. The last time they covered it was 5, 6. Mm-hmm. What will it be this time? 5, 6? That's what I think. They're still going to be short 25, 30,000. How many have they put on since they had 33 on?
Are you ready for a few specific questions from
Oh, absolutely.
viewers?
Go ahead.
Okay. This one comes from a good friend of ours, Truth Over Facts. And he asks you, Bob, though a person could be investing in mining shares overseas in order to stay clear of U.S. overregulation or a collapse, is there any type of governmental jurisdiction over the NYSE that people should be aware of, given either some major financial collapse or financial power grab? And how does Germany play a role in that, given their merge ownership of the NYSE?
Absolutely none. It has nothing to do with government directly. The government, only as a last resort, would run exchanges. When let's say we had a big depression, and you and I own gold and silver stocks, and the market stopped trading, and say for a week, which is possible. And out of all the brokerage firms, there were 300 that were going to go bankrupt. All they do is transfer the records from the insolvent brokerage firm to a solvent one. That's all they do. And if it becomes uproarious, the government will step in and say, okay, we're going to take them all over, and we're going to guarantee everything, and we're going to run everything until we can give it back to someone who can run it better than we can do it. And that's what's going to happen. As far as foreign ownership, let's take Agnico Eagle, Canadian company, one of the best gold silver mining companies in the world, if not the best management. It trades on Toronto, and it trades in the New York Stock Exchange. Maybe elsewhere, I'm not even aware of it, although I've been recommending the stock for 11 years. I never looked into that. But the point is this. You own shares in a company that produces gold and silver, not shares in a brokerage firm, not shares in the DTCC, not shares in the U.S. government. You own a mining company. No matter what happens, you still own them.
Okay, well then he asks his follow-up question is related to nationalization. He's just wondering, what is your opinion on the likelihood of nationalization of any of these Canadian, Mexican, or any of these silver and gold mining companies around the world?
First of all, it's always possible. Is it probable? Historically, only when you've had communist governments. Venezuela recently. Bolivia was going to do it the other day, and the guys down in the mine say, you do that, you'll never get elected again. You leave it just the way it is.
Yeah.
So Morales backed off.
Right.
But they've nationalized in Ecuador. They may do it in Peru if this communist is elected in the election that's coming up. They haven't done it with the communist president in Uruguay because they don't have any mines there that I know about. And I used to live there, so I know. And so that's the way that works. So I don't see any nationalizations except in countries that become communist. And I don't think America's going to become communist, or Canada.
I was going to make a joke, like the United States.
Well, they're already fascist.
That's right.
But you see, fascism allows the corporatist take on government. They like large corporations because the corporations tell the government what to do. And that's what fascism is all about, a marriage of corporate and political.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nobody explained it better than Benito Mussolini.
Hey, before we let you go, do you have any parting words of wisdom for the people that were getting in for the first time at 45 and 50, expecting it to go straight to 100, and right now these people are on the verge of being shaken out? And I don't want that to happen to them because they're going to be sorry. What would you say to those folks?
Oh, what you just said. I bought some silver at 46, 29 to be exact. And I'm proud of that. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to take my average up from $18 to $19. Mm-hmm. But for those of you who bought up there, find some money and buy some down here. This thing's going much higher. This is an abnormal incident. and it may not ever happen again. And so you want to be in the safest place you can be in silver and in gold. And today, both of them are trying to establish a bottom. I can see it.
Yep.
And so be a buyer in here, whether it's in gold and silver bullion, coins, shares, or a combination. The shares were cheap 2 weeks ago. I mean, really cheap. And you got to remember, I've been doing this for 52 years.
Right.
I was the largest gold silver stockbroker in the world. Now they're throwing them on the street. You got to be a buyer.
Yeah, and I want to leave people with this image in their minds, Bob, because you're absolutely right. You say that this is an unusual event, an event that's out of the ordinary, and you're right, because this trough, this valley that we're now currently sitting in, with the silver price being down around 34, 35, coming down from 50 so quickly in 4 or 5 days, and I want people to visualize what the next 6 months looks like. Visualize what the next 1 year looks like. Do they honestly think that chart will not correct? Do they honestly think that silver is going to stay in this trough forever? Just
and the fundamentals have not changed.
Absolutely.
And it's all there. And you're just getting a break. If you bought it, let's say you bought it 46 like I did, and you buy it 34. Well, you're going to average your cost. You buy the same amount of money's worth of silver that you just did. And if you can buy more, double it up as is possible. Then you bring your average way down to 38, 39, 40 or something like that, which is terrific.
Absolutely. And it's our last really remaining way to rebel against this system and against the banksters, because we don't have the rule of law on our side right now, but we do have the ability to buy physical silver, which they do not want. That's why they're shaking the tree so hard. They want people to be afraid of this market and to run away and to sell their positions.
Well, there's no silver out there. Whether it's Perth Mint or the Canadian Mint or any of the big companies in the United States, one of them sent a notice out this last week. If you got any silver you want to sell, we'll give you something over spot for it.
Yeah, that was
I couldn't believe it. I've never seen that before.
$3 over spot.
They don't have any.
Right. Right. That was, of course, right before it corrected. But, yeah, no, you're right. $3 over spot from AppMax. That's what they were offering. Well, Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster, we really appreciate your time. Tell folks how they can get a free copy of the Forecaster, Bob.
Well, the forecast is about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues all over the world. We publish on Wednesday and Saturday. Email. Everything that you need to know every week is in that publication. Get a free copy. Go to theinternationalforecaster.com. Or if you have a question, and we answer everyone, or if you want a copy, or if you want our latest releases on gold and silver shares, email me at Bob, B-O-B, at INTFORECASTER.com. That's Bob at intforecaster.com. For those of you who want to call toll free, 877-479-8178.
Okay, very good, sir. Always a pleasure to speak with you, and we look forward to speaking with you again in 2 weeks from today.
That's terrific.
All right.
Have a great weekend, and thank you all for listening.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and hang in there, because there's a lot of shills and turncoats in our midst, and don't let them contribute to your angst and help shake you from your position. It should be an interesting week and an interesting rest of the year. We'll talk soon. Good night.